Hey everybody, welcome into another video. Today I am going to be doing a review of Fire Emblem Engage for the Nintendo Switch. I recently finished playing through the game and I want to give my thoughts on the game after completing it. This review is going to go over the good parts of the game, the bad parts of the game, who this game will be for, who it won't be for, and who this game will appeal to. With that being said, let's get on to reviewing Fire Emblem Engage. Fire Emblem Engage released on January 20th, 2023. It is the latest game in the Fire Emblem series. One of the big questions, if you're new to Fire Emblem, that you're going to have is, can you start with this Fire Emblem game or do you need to play other Fire Emblem games? If you are a beginner to the Fire Emblem series, you can definitely start with this game. You do not need to have played the other Fire Emblem games to understand how to play this one. This game is one of the most beginner-friendly entries in the entire series and has a lot of aspects of its gameplay that makes it a lot more forgiving for new players to the Fire Emblem series. Now, first off, I want to talk about what the role of the game is and what the game's story is all about. So Fire Emblem Engage's story basically starts out with the main character, Alir, who is a divine dragon that has been in a 1,000-year slumber, and basically he wakes up and he has to go on a quest to stop the foul dragon from destroying the world. Now that I talked a little bit about what the story is about, I want to start talking about what the gameplay of Fire Emblem Engage is like. Fire Emblem Engage is a strategy RPG game. It is a game that has a structure where you go through the chapters in the game and you start out at the prologue of the game and then you play all the way through the chapters of the main story until you reach the final chapter of the main story, defeat the final boss, and then you beat the game. The game follows a very linear structure and there's very little exploration. You can explore a little bit after completing battles, and then the other main area you can explore at is the town of Somniel, where you'll do all the buying of your weapons and items throughout the game. Now, when you exit Somniel, the main town of the game, you go out onto a world map. On the world map, you choose a location and you automatically go to there. You will usually choose the next area that you're going to fight the next main story battle at, and then go there and fight the main story battle. But you can also go to optional battles called skirmishes, because you can see enemy soldiers on the world map, and if you walk up to them and choose to fight them, you can go into an optional battle not related to the story called a skirmish, where you can fight against them to help your characters level up. Eventually, you will select where the next main story battle is going to take place, and then you'll go to there, usually watch a cutscene before the battle happens, and then the battle will begin. Fire Emblem is a strategy RPG game. So the game is turn-based, but it is a strategy RPG, which basically has battles taking place on a map where you can move your characters a certain distance depending on what type of character they are, and each character will move around the battlefield trying to accomplish an objective. The objectives can vary for winning the maps. For one map, you might need to kill a boss to beat the map. Another map, you might need to make your characters get to a certain part of the map, and then you complete the battle. In battles, you select a character and then you move near a unit, and if you're close enough and within range to attack, you can choose to attack the unit. You can choose a weapon to attack them with, and then after that, an animation will play of the character attacking that enemy unit. Once an ally or enemy's health is reduced to 0 from being attacked, they will die. Once a character is dead, that is it for the rest of the battle. You cannot revive the character. Now, in previous Fire Emblem games, permadeath was something that was standard in the games. So if a character died, you lost them forever. In Fire Emblem Engage, though, like more recent Fire Emblem games, this game has a mode you can turn on that prevents permadeath. You'll lose the character the rest of the battle, but after the battle they will be revived and you'll be able to continue using them. So if permadeath is something that has always made you afraid to try out the Fire Emblem games, do not worry, because in Fire Emblem Engage it is an optional feature. You can either turn it on or you can keep it off. It's all up to the player and the choice that they make. During battles, you really have to plan out where you move your characters, because certain types of characters are weak to certain attacks, and if a character gets hit by an attack that they're weak to or they're low on health, it's pretty much almost a guarantee that they're going to die by whatever attack ends up hitting them. And because of the permadeath and features like that, you really have to strategize, put your characters in the right locations on the map, make sure they're attacking the right enemies, and really plan out how you're going to approach a battle. And because of that, the game has a lot of strategy and it's very fun. Now, another feature that makes Fire Emblem Engage more beginner-friendly to newer players that was introduced back in Fire Emblem Three Houses is the Rewind feature. So the Rewind feature returns from Fire Emblem Three Houses, and basically the Rewind feature allows you to go back turns if you made a mistake. So let's say you move a character to the wrong area and they die. You can use the Rewind feature, go back a few turns to before you move that character, and try to do something different to prevent that character from dying. During battle, whenever you attack an enemy, kill an enemy, or you heal another character, you will be given EXP. Once a character gets enough EXP, they will level up and their stats will increase. At certain levels, characters will also learn new class abilities. In Fire Emblem Engage, the class system from other Fire Emblem games returns. Provided a character meets the requirements necessary to class change, you can change your class into a different class. Each class has its own unique advantages and disadvantages. For example, a sword armor knight will be able to use swords and will have very heavy armor, making them strong against physical attacks, but very weak against magic attacks because of their very low magic defense. Another class, like a mage, will have magic attacks that can break through heavily armored enemies and do high damage to them and attack from a distance, but they have very low HP, making them very vulnerable units to enemy attacks. The class system has always been one of the highlights of the Fire Emblem series, and it's really great that they brought it back here, and it adds so much character customization to the game and gives the player a different way to play the game by changing their classes around. So you might ask, what makes Fire Emblem Engage different from other Fire Emblem games? So the gimmick of Fire Emblem Engage is the ring system. The ring system allows you to summon emblems, which are other characters from other Fire Emblem games like Roy or Ike or Marth. Basically, then in battle, you have what is called an engage meter, which is a meter that fills. Once the engage meter is filled, you can then engage with the emblem ring that you have equipped and summon that Fire Emblem character to help you. And you then go into what is called an engage state. Basically, your character transforms, their appearance changes, and they become a super powerful version of themselves for a certain amount of turns. During this time, they can do a super powerful attack that usually has a really big effect, like a really powerful attack that does a high amount of damage, an attack that's able to hit multiple enemies, an attack that is able to heal everybody on the battlefield, and then also they can get certain weapons during this time. Keep in mind, like I said though, it's only temporary. After a few turns, your character will go back to normal. They will have to fill the engage meter again, and then go back into engage state again. Overall, I had a lot of fun with the gameplay of Fire Emblem Engage. I thought the battles were very interesting, they were very strategic, and I had a lot of fun going through the battles in the game, leveling up my characters and getting them stronger. But the other aspects of the game are where the game starts to become a lot more questionable in terms of the quality of the game. So I already talked a little bit about the story of what Fire Emblem Engage is all about. But how is the story itself? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it okay? Well, to get straight to the point, I'm going to be very direct. I found the story in Fire Emblem Engage to be bad. I think the game has some of the worst writing of the Fire Emblem series, and I think that there is a serious disconnect in the tone of the story and the way the characters act. The characters act very upbeat and kind of very optimistic and anime-like in the story of the game, but the main story itself is a very serious story about war, kingdoms falling, people dying, kingdoms being overthrown, and lots of really bad, serious things happening. And because of that, the upbeat, super optimistic, happy-go-lucky personality of the characters really does not fit the serious tone of the story. And it's this very cheesy nature of the characters and the very cheesy writing in the game that really ruins a lot of the serious moments in the story and really prevents those serious plot twists and other aspects of the story from being as good as they could. Another flaw I felt with the story was that many of the plot twists were predictable. Some of them I predicted ahead of time about the main character. And in general, this game's story is really just not up to the standard that other Fire Emblem game stories are. For example, games with really great stories in the series like Fire Emblem 4, Genealogy of the Holy War, or the other Fire Emblem games that have really good stories and plot twists. The story is definitely one of the weakest aspects of this game, and what hurts the story a lot compared to this game's console predecessor, which was Fire Emblem Three Houses, is that Three Houses have multiple story routes, giving that game more replay value. This game has one route, one ending, and that's it. There's no other story routes for more replayability, and so the game pales in comparison to its console predecessor, Fire Emblem Three Houses, in the story, the characters, the writing, and the replayability of the game. So overall, to me, the story was really not that good, unfortunately. And the music was also a step back from Fire Emblem Three Houses. I think Three Houses has one of the best soundtracks of the entire Fire Emblem series, and this game just does not have nearly as good of a soundtrack. It does have a few good songs in there, but overall, when you compare this to Fire Emblem Three Houses soundtrack, Three Houses had a way better soundtrack. So overall, what's my thoughts on Fire Emblem Engage? My overall thoughts is that it's got fun gameplay, the gameplay itself is good, but the game is a step back from Fire Emblem Three Houses in every other way. The story is way worse, the music is a lot worse than Fire Emblem Three Houses, and the replay value is lower because the game doesn't have the multiple routes feature that Three Houses did. So basically, I can recommend Fire Emblem Engage if you can overlook a bad story for really good gameplay. But if story is something that is very important to you, then you might want to skip on this game because the story in it is really bad. Now, my overall thoughts, should you buy this at full price or wait for a discount? I do think it can be worth a full price purchase, but you got to go in it for the gameplay. Do not go in it for the story. If you're someone who you really need a story to be good to enjoy a game, then this is not going to be the game for you, and you definitely don't want to buy it at full price. You probably want to wait for a discount before buying it. But that being said, the gameplay itself is very well done, and the game overall is a fun game for the gameplay, but is very weak in other regards. Overall, thank you all so much for watching the video. I really greatly appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also follow me over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Shockstorm. Thank you all so much, and I will catch you all in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.